We're going to start in the American League, and you've got the top-seeded Tampa Bay Rays taking on the surprisingly good Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays who have had the lineage of baseball history over the last 25 years on their team. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Cavan Biggio, Bo Bichette, all these guys now healthy, ready to roll in the postseason, about a year or two ahead of schedule versus the Tampa Bay Rays, just steady as she goes in Tampa Bay. I think the guy to point out for them is that pitching staff, and specifically the guy that, if you're watching us, you see pictured is the pitcher, Tyler Glasnow. In his last 7 starts, 5-0, 64 strikeouts compared to just 12 walks, an ERA of 3. He pitched like an ace last year. He's looking like an ace right now. He is coming into form at the right time. For Tampa Bay, a guy who's coming into form right now at the right time, Vlad Guerrero Jr. In his last 15 games, .315 batting average and a .593 slugging percentage and 3 home runs over those last 15 outings.
Yep, this is my upset right here.
Wow.
I as much as I love Tyler Glasnow, who his cards you can find him as a Pirate prospect, I'm a big fan of the Blue Jays, and I just think that the star power and the power is going to beat the pitching here. So yeah. That's going to be my upset. I think it's going to go 3, but I think the Buffalo Blue Jays are moving on.
Yeah, there's so much young power on this team, and especially, I'm sure, for not only collectors, but Major League Baseball would love to see these guys on display for as long as possible. No disrespect to the Tampa Bay Rays, the only team with 40 wins in the American League. They are about as balanced a team as there is in baseball, but the fact is you want to see Vlad Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette. You want to see those guys on the main stage. The guys who have been the producers for them, Teoscar Hernandez has been a guy who has been a huge contributor to them. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has been a big contributor. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I think that they want Toronto to be the team that moves on here. I'm going to also point out Nate Pearson, a top prospect for Toronto. He's healthy again. I don't think he's going to be a starter this postseason. Want to keep the innings down, but he was throwing 101 out of the bullpen when he came back. I could see him like when David Price helped propel the same Tampa Bay Rays to the World Series as a closer. Adam Wainwright early in his career. I could see Nate Pearson coming into his own in that sort of role if the Blue Jays go far. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to go far. I think Tampa Bay's got this series in 2 games.
With the 3-batter rule, too, I mean, this is going to change how the management happens, too. So, yeah. I mean, you've got to look. I got a righty, but they've got next inning, they got 2 lefties and a righty, So like that, you can't just be the Bruce Bochy and be like one guy, right? Yeah. So that is going to kind of completely change how this postseason's run. And I think, you're going to have to look at some of the better managers as well, maybe guys that have already been there that can kind of adapt to the situation.
Yeah, that's why, by the way, I think Bruce Bochy saw the writing on the wall and said, I'm out of here. This is not my game anymore. That is why I think I trust the Rays and Kevin Cash, who has become one of the most underrated managers in baseball. I like the top 3 pitchers they've got. They're a really good team, and I think they're going to go have a nice deep run here in the postseason. Toronto, great story. I think they're about a year or 2 away. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to the next matchup in the AL wildcard round. This is one of the most intriguing matchups, I think, of the entire first round of the playoffs. The New York Yankees, the heavy favorites by a lot of people to win the World Series at the beginning of the year, really scuffled about midseason, have kind of come into their own, picked up the pieces. They're getting healthy at the right time. For them, DJ LeMahieu has been the guy, the batting champion in the American League, and a few years ago in the National League. He's the first guy to ever do that in the modern era, and he's doing it for the Yankees and for the Cleveland Indians. They may have the Cy Young and the MVP on the same team, and it might be the same guy. Shane Bieber had a phenomenal season. We talked about him at the beginning of the year. We're talking about him at the end of the year. The fastest pitcher ever to 100 strikeouts. I did the math. I'm not a math major, so forgive me if I got the math wrong here. But if he had a full season, he was on pace for 33 starts and 335 strikeouts. That would have been the most since Randy Johnson back in 2002, and that would have been 11 more or 9 more than Garrett Cole's 326 last season. Oh, yeah, on top of it all, Jose Ramirez, by many metrics, the best offensive player in baseball this season. I think this is another one where I'm not going to so much call it an upset. But at the beginning of the year, if you said Cleveland Indians or the New York Yankees, I think most people would have said the Yankees. But to me, I'm taking Cleveland and that pitching staff.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to go against the Indians, but I'm going. You can see my trend. I'm going power. Bowman, 2013 Bowman, Aaron Judge. I would be kind of keep an eye on those. He's got a lot of rookie cards in the 2017 season of cards. That was when he kind of popped out as far as a rookie. His first Bowman's 2013. His first rookie cards were in 2017. So I would keep an eye on that as far as an investment standpoint. Maybe there's some regular Topps rookies that you can get in, or some Topps Chromes that you can get in. But I'm going the Yankees. I think power. You can see their run differential. It's almost up there with the Rays there. So, pitching needs to kind of work itself out. But, I mean, if you're scoring 15 runs a game, I think you're going to go ahead and win some series.
And when you've got Garrett Cole, I mean, they did not get Garrett Cole for the regular season. They got him for this. If they can steal that game one, where, man, oh, man, Garrett Cole versus Shane Bieber, game one.
Wow.
How about that for a marquee matchup? Wow. If they can take that game, then that's what they got him for. But for me, yes, Shane Bieber obviously is the guy, and the Yankees have to get past him. But then if they get past him, they still have to go through Carlos Carrasco, had a great year. They still have to get through Zach Plesac, who came together after that whole Mike Clevenger night out fiasco. And they've got other pieces. Tristan McKenzie's a guy I've talked about before. I think he's an electric pitcher, a guy that I think will come out of the bullpen like Nate Pearson will and provide some innings and be an interesting young guy to keep an eye on. So I love the pitching of Cleveland, so that's why I got to go with them.
Absolutely. And
next series up, we're going away from pitching. We're going with some power with the Minnesota Twins. I don't know if you saw it over the last couple weeks. I think Josh Donaldson, and some Twins fans can correct me if I'm wrong here, Josh Donaldson gifted a lot of the players these nice, like, velvet robes that they were all wearing with their number and their name on the back. And then Nelson Cruz decided, I'm going to wear this robe in the dugout after he hit a home run. And then it became like a little tradition over the last couple of weeks here. So the Twins are feeling it. They feel like they are as good as any team in baseball, and they absolutely should. Nelson Cruz had a great year, the ageless wonder. But the pitching has also been a really good story. Kenta Maeda has been the ace of that staff, and many other years where there's no Shane Bieber, he may be the Cy Young favorite. Plus Michael Pineda, remember that guy? He is back and healthy. Rich Hill, another ageless wonder. He's pitching really well for them as well. And then you've got the Houston Astros, who are now one of two teams in Major League Baseball history to make the postseason with a losing record. Feels like a fitting tribute to them after what happened over the offseason. They still make it in, but there's really nothing that jumps out about them. Zach Greinke has been the only guy that's been stable on that staff, and he's even had an up-and-down year. Kyle Tucker has looked impressive. The rest of that offense, though, Jose Altuve, a career worst year. I don't want to say that Houston is dead on arrival, but I'm just seeing a team with energy and that's having fun versus a team that's grinding and just kind of backed into the postseason.
Yeah, it feels like the Twins don't have a lot of pressure. And where the Astros absolutely do. And you can see all of their batting averages have gone down significantly compared to where they were at last year during the trash can gate. And I can't see a lot of people picking the Astros. A lot of people are just expecting them to go 2 games and be done, and I think that will make a lot of people happy.
Yeah, it absolutely will. Now, I'm not going to totally count them out because, yes, of course, there's the cheating scandals and all that, but there is still postseason experience there. I'm not going to put it all on that's the only reason they won. This is still a really talented team with a lot of really talented guys who came up through that system. Before all the cheating stuff, we all said there's so much talent here. There is. I just don't quite think it's their year, obviously, with everything going on. And I think Minnesota is just feeling it. They've got a lot of really good talent there, a ton of power, a very good pitching staff, and a guy to watch for me, Byron Buxton, the former super prospect, the guy that everybody thought was going to be the next big thing in baseball. And he still has some years where he can put it together. He's just 26. How about this, though? Since he's come off the injured list in the month of September at 62 at-bats, 8 home runs for Byron Buxton in the month of September. That's not what we expected from this guy. So he actually hit for power. We know the speed. We know the defense. This is the type of guy that you put him at the top of that lineup, and you know what the other guys can do. Man, sky's the limit, I think, for Minnesota.
And ironically, it was Buxton and Correa that were part of
That's right.
I think it's either 13 or 14 Bowman. I'm sorry, I was trying to find it real quick, but they were the 2 prospects to get when that product came out, and ironically, they're playing each other now. Everybody kind of wrote off Buxton. He was supposed to be a 5-tool player. At times, he was really only showing the glove and the speed. Wasn't really hitting for average. Wasn't hitting for any power at all. He started to turn it around. I mean, he's had a lot of chances. I'm surprised the Twins stuck with him for so long. I mean, he was their number 1 prospect. And the Twins, I mean, when was the last time we really talked about the Twins? I feel like it's, I mean, they've had their runs, but I feel like it's like since Kirby Puckett, rest in peace. But, you know, it's been a while since the Twins have been on the radar. And I almost feel like the Twins are America's team in this playoff, at least for this series.
Yeah, the Mauer-Morneau era, which had a lot of success. Torrey Hunter in that era as well, obviously. A lot of success, but they always ran into the Yankees and could never beat them. I think going into Saturday, they were still set to play the Yankees, and they were probably like, oh, God, not again.
And did they lose to the Braves in the World Series, I believe,
yes,
1 year?
No, they beat the Braves.
They beat the Braves, okay. Yeah, the Braves lost.
They have not been back to the World Series ever since, and you could say, I believe that many years later we found out that one of the grounds crew there who held his job was to work on the air conditioning, apparently in the 7th and 8th innings of pivotal games, turned down the AC, so it was a little chillier for visiting teams. So, yeah, a little, and the ball would anyway. So a cheating scandal of their own. Nobody is safe here in Major League Baseball. If you
now, not to change the subject here, but I was looking at where they're having the games, and I obviously it looks like they planned it where nobody's going to really have a home game. Is that correct? I mean,
it's only so in the first round here. If you're not familiar with how they're going to do this, the wild card games will be played at the higher seeds home ballpark. So in this case, Minnesota will be hosting Houston, and that's how they're going to do it for the first round. And then after that, the American League is going to be playing in California at Dodger Stadium and Petco Park. In the National League, will be playing in Texas. They'll be playing at the new Globe Life Field and Minute Maid Park, with the World Series being a Globe Life Field. So, yeah, once we get to the division and the championship,
it doesn't look like there's any chance that anybody has a home game there, which is I don't know if that was planned out that way, but obviously Texas didn't make the playoffs, so they won't be able to play the World Series at their own home stadium. But it's kind of interesting being in this COVID era where we're kind of moving and shaking here.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens, and we'll talk about it as we get closer to it. But apparently the plan for Major League Baseball is to have at least some fans when the World Series arrives in Texas. Should be an interesting prospect. Let's move on to the final American League Series. And to me, other than that Yankees-Cleveland series, the other most intriguing series here, the Oakland A's, who they were just kind of steady as she goes as well. They had a really hot start to the season, and they have some power in that lineup. Matt Olson, Matt Chapman, who unfortunately for Chapman, season-ending injury about a few weeks ago. That was a really devastating blow for their chances, but the best bullpen in baseball by far, an excellent bullpen. Chris Bassett has become something of an ace for the Oakland A's, and Jesus Luzardo, the rookie, has looked very good at times. So I think there's a lot of confidence in Oakland, and there was a lot of confidence on the south side of Chicago for the Chicago White Sox. Another one of those teams that, especially for collectors, have been keeping an eye on all season long and for many years now. And here they are in the postseason. At one point, I think they looked like the best team in baseball. They had the pitching. The offense was just lights out. They kind of backed into the postseason here. Luis Robert really slowed down at the end of the year. Jose Abreu put up MVP numbers. Eloy Jimenez, though, got injured in the last series of the last weekend series of the season. His status is up in the air, but a really exciting team. I think when they are playing right, I think they're as good as any team in baseball. This is a hard one for me.
It is, and I think A's were my pick for the beginning of the year, so I'm going to stick with that. But and I looked at basically the White Sox are 2-8 in their last 10, so they kind of slid into the playoffs. It doesn't feel like they have a whole lot of momentum going into it. I feel like the A's are hungrier than ever. They may be looking at it like, hey, we've been playing one-game series, elimination games for the last couple of years. We can kind of relax a little bit and got a 3-game series. So I think the A's do take this, which goes against my power versus pitching and the other predictions that I've done. But I do think the A's are a little little bit more balanced and a little bit more seasoned than these White Sox, these guys, Eloy, Luis, Robert, which I think the White Sox are going to be one of those teams that are going to be around for years, and they're probably going to be talking about them being the top team in a few years. But I think right now they're going to take their lumps, they're going to learn, and I think the A's move through.
Yeah, I think the A's are the team to pick here, although I think it gets pushed to 3 games, and I think they buck the trend of the Billy Beane era. I believe it's some incredible stat where in 16 chances to move on to the next round of the postseason, the A's have only 1 win in the Billy
I mean,
Beane
the odds
era.
say it's going to go the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point. So.
But I believe in the bullpen. I believe in the pitching here. Mike Minor has had some nice starts here and there for the A's since being acquired from Texas. I think there is enough pitching here, and I think that the White Sox, they're a really young team, and I think at this point in the season, the way that they've been playing, it's just kind of, it might be time to pack it up and you know what? Yeah, like you said, take your lumps, learn from it. This is not a team going anywhere, and I think that the American League Central is absolutely up for grabs with guys on the Twins getting older, with Cleveland having some budget issues and maybe not being able to afford some of these big names that are with the team right now. The window is open for the White Sox. This is just step 1 of a long process where they're going to be a contender for many years. Very much, again, cheating aside, very much reminds me of, what was it, the 2015 Houston Astros when they played the Kansas City Royals and really gave them a hard time, but then the Royals eventually were able to get past them, and it was that first step for the Astros where it was like, this is the sign of things to come. Don't worry. You got to get some losses in before you can start making your way up that peak into the top of baseball glory. The one guy I do think is a pivotal player in this series is Yohan Moncada, another guy who was the top prospect in all of baseball and really put it all together last year. Looked like he was on the fast track to becoming one of baseball's best players. Had a rough season this year. He did have a nice stretch in his last 5 games, a 995 OPS over his last 5, but overall this season a 705 OPS in 52 games. One of the few guys who really didn't click this season with the White Sox in a year where everything seemed to go right. If he can put it together and have a nice postseason, he's still what? He's 24, 25. Mm-hmm. He's still really young. It feels like we've been talking about him forever, but that's a guy I think to really keep an eye on.
And as I'm looking at this, it looks like each league has their own day. So tomorrow, being Tuesday, we're filming this on Monday. You may be watching it on Tuesday, the 29th. We are going to have all of these games. I mean, are they starting them at 10 a.m.?
So All-American League for day 1, and then get ready, park yourself on the couch for day 2. All 8 series will be, all of them are going to be going on. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have, and they're going to be on prime time. It's like for the first time in like 30 years, there's going to be games on ABC because ESPN has the wild card rights. So they're just like, we don't have enough room. They had to throw some on ABC in the middle of the day. So it's going to be really fun. This is the one thing about it that I'm really excited about is just the amount of meaningful baseball we're going to get. Now,
it looks like they're kind of navigating through the NFL. Obviously, I'm assuming there might be some games on Thursday.
And the NBA Finals as well, which is going to be aired on NBC, or ABC, I should say, very shortly. So there's a lot of things going on right now that they're going to have to sort of schedule around so they get as many eyes as possible. But it's going to be fun if you're a baseball fan, absolutely.